Our main character is Sharpina, a social worker and a consultant in a prestigious NGO that takes care of Syrian refugees in the Bekaa region. She's also an assistant professor at the American University of Beirut. This is a conversation between Sharpina and her husband, Mr. Ethical, who happens to be an IRB chair at the American University of Beirut.
Hey, honey, I know you don't like me to bring work to our home, but I need your opinion on something. I am writing an article about the difficulties that can challenge Syrian workers in Lebanon, and I am thinking of interviewing a good number of them in order to make my article robust and evidence-based.
Oh, that's a bit tricky. You need to know how to do it right.
Why is that?
Because your research will involve vulnerable persons, and this is generally considered as involving more than minimal risk.
Can you elaborate more?
Your research might involve access to records of personal or confidential information, and the migrant workers include persons who are individually or as part of a group stigmatized, excluded, or have limited control over their lives to maintain independence and to self-determine.
But you did not convince me. I work with these people on daily basis. They will feel comfortable in front of me.
Ethical standards in social science are generally based on three basic principles: respect for human dignity, justice, and beneficence.
Yes, the Belmont Report, you mean.
Yes, and these standards also emphasize four guidelines through which these principles should be applied: informed consent, non-deception, privacy, and confidentiality. How are you planning to apply these in your research?
I work with these migrant workers on daily basis. I respect them. I do my best to provide good medical care for them, including access to primary care settings. Our NGO provides monthly stipends for these migrants, so I'm already pretty much involved in their daily lives.
Yes, but with research, this is different. First of all, you have a major conflict of interest with these people, since you work directly with them and they might even feel pressured when you interview them.
Oh, I see.
Second, the feelings of shame and approval, empathy and intuition may have effects on human interaction. Besides, interview settings are always influenced by power relations. Paradoxically, when research strives for a more reciprocal relation between the researcher and the researched, the criteria of informed consent, non-deception, privacy, and confidentiality are more difficult to deal with. When you are interviewing illegal migrants, there is a fine line between what participants consider appropriate behavior for a researcher and when they start to see you as a journalist who is interested in juicy details.
But I am only interested in some social aspects of their lives. I'm trying to see if there is any linear relationship between their income and the number of kids they have, the educational level they reach, and maybe other parameters. Do I even need an informed consent for that?
Yes, you need to take an oral consent at least, and this is to be decided by the IRB committee after they review your proposal. The laws and regulations which shape migrants' lives are often not fully transparent to both the researcher and the potential participant. As such, possible consequences of participating in research may not always be acknowledged easily by either side. This is the major reason why you need to have an IRB approval for such a project.
Okay, is there more?
Of course there is. When dealing with migrant workers, the questions that arise are not only who should benefit from research and what might be the outcome. It's mainly how are you going to guarantee anonymity of the participants in front of the authorities you work with, and how to build up trust in context of mistrust. Migrants themselves are also often mistrusted and intensively questioned from many sides. The fact that vulnerable migrants live in an environment of suspicion produces a high level of pressure on how to present themselves and to be cautious on what aspects should be presented to whom.
Thank you, honey. You are so sharp, and I really appreciate your comments.
Do not forget that good quality research takes into account its responsibility towards the individual, the group, the research field, and towards society. The next day, Sharpina goes to her office at UB. One of her colleagues, Dr. Vax, an infectious disease specialist, approached her about his new project concerning a new HPV vaccine, Vaxazil. It was a randomized clinical trial testing the efficacy of a vaccine targeting new cancerous strains in HPV. They have been struggling to recruit patients and suggested the idea of including serial workers in their study.
I don't mind as long as all the ethical principles of Belmont report are met and there's fair selection of participants. And by that, I mean inclusion of both migrants and also non-migrants participants in the study. And with that, the justice principle of the Belmont report would be applied.
In a modest community center in the rural area in Ba, my grana, a migrant worker in her mid-30s, sits across from Dr. Vax.
Thank you, Migrana, for coming today. I really appreciate your time. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Just finished my shift, so a little tired.
Oh, I understand. I'll try not to keep you too long. I wanted to talk to you about an important health opportunity for your community. Have you heard about the HPV vaccine?
Not much. I think I saw something on TV, but I'm not sure what it's for.
It's a vaccine that protects against certain types of cancer, like cervical cancer. It's really important for women, especially those in communities where access to healthcare is limited.
Cancer? That sounds serious. But why are you talking to me about it?
Oh, that's a great question. We're running a research program to provide the vaccine to people in this area. You'd be helping us and your community by participating.
I don't know. This sounds strange. Why us?
Well, we found that communities like yours are often overlooked in medical research, and this is a chance to change that. Plus, we're offering a generous incentive, $500 in cash for anyone who joins the study.
$500? That's a lot of money. Why so much?
Look, between you and me, we really need people to participate, and the faster we can get enough participants, the better for the project and my career.
Is this safe? What if something goes wrong?
Oh, don't you worry about that. The vaccine has been tested before. Any side effects are usually minor, but we'll take care of you if anything happens. You'll even get free medical care as part of the study.
It sounds risky. What about my family? I can't afford to get sick.
Migrana, think about what $500 could do for your family. That's groceries, bills, maybe even some savings. And honestly, you're not likely to get sick. The study is just a formality.
I don't know. It feels wrong somehow.
Look, Migrana, these studies are going to happen one way or another. If you don't take part, someone else will. At least this way you're getting something out of it. And who knows, maybe you'll be helping protect your daughters from cancer in the future.
I need to think about this. I don't like feeling pressured.
Migrana, let me be clear. If you decide not to participate, it could complicate things for you. We have connections with local authorities and your immigration status might come into question. I'm not saying it will happen, but refusing to cooperate doesn't exactly make things easier for us to protect you.
Are you threatening me?
Of course not. I'm just reminding you of the bigger picture. Think carefully, Migrana. This opportunity benefits everyone, including you. Take the night to consider it.
I'll think about it. Thank you.
Take care, Migrana. Remember, $500, they could go a long way, and cooperation always works in everyone's favor.
Sharpina overheard Dr. Vax and my grana's conversation.
Excuse me, Dr. Vax, I am sure you didn't recognize that your approach was quite unethical. I think you might be overstressed about the recruitment process going wrong.
What do you mean?
There is a major overpower relation here, and this is of specific relevance when researching migration, and even more so when involving migrants in a vulnerable position. Let's talk harms of research. What if side effects happen? To be an ethical practitioner, how should one act in encounter with migrants when policies deny them access to affordable health services?
The research insurance will cover that for sure.
What about long-term side effects? What if in 10 years she sues you for infertility caused by the vaccine? Labor migrants don't have equal access to all health services, including high-cost care like IVF therapy in that case. And you did not even offer her access to support services that... By talking to Migrana, you didn't respect her as a person. Instead, you treated her like a number in your recruitment process. And this is the first point of the Belmont report breached. You should not use coercion or influence while trying to get a consent of participation. You didn't treat her with justice by distributing the benefits and the risk inequitably, and you only talked about benefits for her daughters and financial benefit, disregarding what could be the possible side effects of the vaccine on her. In other words, it is true that there was no language barrier, but it is of paramount importance to explicitly explain your research in all its aspects as part of the informed consent. As for the beneficence principle of Belmont report, it was not clear in your words to her, rather, you scared her with your approach.
Research on vulnerable migrants is a sensitive topic. General ethical documents like the Belmont Report and the Declaration of Helsinki provide foundational critical guidelines for conducting safe research ethically, while protecting vulnerable populations and ensuring that their rights and well-being are safeguarded and preventing exploitation or harm in research settings. Their application is essential in fostering trust, transparency, and accountability. Sharing considerations and experiences with other researchers is important and offers platforms for much-needed discussions on methodological and ethical developments in the field of migration and a step forward on the way to better understand how to do it right.